Check, check, check. Haven't actually been saying anything. Uh, Obviously, excuse me, we didn't get a gap and run day or anything like that. So, at best, you can get these like little reaction things, like we hit the pock, and come back. Look at that, a few points there. So that would have been a good scalp. Next up, what I like is 50% confluence with the VWAP. So that's good for a bounce. Probably again right back to pock and maybe to hold. So that's what I'm looking for. Is that there should be some sort of reaction there. If you're short, then you have buying right around here or pock, just to cover a little bit of your position, and then you have also buyers waiting there too. So. And I'm out. I guess I should have just kept that pure scalp, just from here to the pock. All right, so that little drawing got a nice reaction. We went up and over this, so I was like, okay, maybe I should take a long here. Now this will probably, this range will probably maintain, but I don't want to be too aggressive because I want to be able to let this run here and come all the way back and just chop, because I think that's mainly what we're doing today is just chopping, and I'll try and stick along with that. I'm also going to be really conservative with my entries today because yesterday was a big loss, and I find it mentally just to take your opportunities like you always take them. But also that you really have to do your best to shake off any kind of big loss day, or just lost days in general, because something that sticks in your head is that you have to make it all back, and I kind of go against that. I kind of just say, like, you know what, I'm not gonna make it all back. I'm just not. It's, statistics are not on my side. It's just not going to happen, So, and I think what would have to happen here? I think I would have to. It was a huge loss. Like yesterday was a huge loss. I think I'd have to, to undo that. I think I'd have to make like $3,000 today, right? And in a choppy market, it's possible. It's definitely it's definitely possible. It's just little less likely. So I'll put my stop past this 50%. All right, just past this 50% and a little bit of structure here. Hopefully that'll survive. Then we'll get going here. As far as ideas go, if we get up and over the VWAP now, then I will look to add. I'll look for ads, but for now, we're just so choppy in the market. Yeah, there we go. Why is this not updating here? Something wonky going on. I mean, flatten, yeah. Can't flatten, there's nothing there. It's being really laggy today. Excuse me. Ugh. I take forever to wake up, so. It's a lower objective down there, and we're still in that first hour, to be honest. We have the 21 EMA down here lower around this area of 10 to 14. That would be a break though, so I kind of expect this to hold up. Kind of expect it to hold up. So I'll put a little bit of a chase trade here, just in case. That was a nice scalp right there. I could see that we were consolidating over a positive average of cumulative delta there, and so I thought, this is probably going to be able to pop. So there we go. We have a pop. We also, looking on a thing a move like that so clean down, it's highly likely that even before you reload to head lower, that coming back to the 38 too would be a possibility. So a little scalp from here to here is great. On tighter range days, that's not worth it to do that sort of thing, I find, because you're not going to have a 4-point range on a tight range day, right? You're going to end up with something closer to like 6 ticks. And it's really, there's just 6 ticks could just is like this. It's like a tiny little blip, right? So what are you gonna get off of that? So risk reward's not really there. So it's kind of nice that you get this on these days. Most days, I'm doing those entries at fib level, so I'm not taking any kind of, even though this is technically not a breakout trade, right? It's maybe on a micro scale, it's a breakout trade. It's not normally the type of trade that I would take, look for in the day. Although yesterday I was experimenting with this, right? And something I noticed is that if you have some flagging going on down there, and you can see that you're getting like constant buying pressure, that it does kind of like it kind of loads things up for a quick launch higher. So that worked out, and now we're back in the chop. So back into this chop. Look at that. Delta's heading lower, price isn't, so there's it's getting a little bit of absorption there. I don't mean to, throw out water flow terms. I just say, we're getting red, but it's not moving down yet. That's about it. That's about as complicated as you need to make it. It's really tricky. If I'm gonna short off of this, then I'm gonna want a clean break and then short. I'm not gonna, as long as even this area over here is holding up, I'm not really interested in shorts. But then today, I don't know about longs either. I think what's happening here, honestly, is that we're already up. We're already up over 1% in the markets. The markets don't have anything to prove now. Everything, it's kind of like if you weren't in yesterday during the fear, then you're left with, do I chase? And chasing is never a good idea, right? So we'll see. I've been chatting with Graham Tomley from Chat with Traders group here. What is up with this? Something's not right there. So we came down to like this 38 too. This average is way off, and this is way off over here, right? Because the 200-day moving average on the daily here is not up here. So something wonky happening with this chart, right? This is definitely not a 200-day moving average. So I must have that. Yeah, no, it says so. Weird. 5 minutes. I think that I could probably get away with, let's see, 390 minutes, and then I'll make sure that I'm not displaying. Okay, well that's one thing. Get rid of the evening session. I also have realized lately that it's a little bit more useful to just end your time, I'm Central Time, at to just have your day session, not include that last 15 minutes of the day. Aha, there we go. This is much better. So, yeah. Something I posted to another group here is just go back to 2014. Go all the way back to 2014. Market psychology doesn't really change that often. So this is the area, this is the start of 2014, right? And 2014, in my opinion, would have been harder to trade than, this type of bottom would have been harder to trade than what we got, right? Because you open up the year, things are actually kind of bearish, 2014, and then boom, we make new highs, new all-time highs, and we come all the way back, and we actually poke through the low of the year, right? So you're probably thinking like, oh shit, we're going to come back into the prior year's range. But nope, we melt up. And this is the timing of this is that we bottom out mid-April, right? And then we rise all the way into about mid-September. And then we come down to this 200-day. And then look, so you have all these, I'm absolutely sure, no doubt in my mind that there are tons of people out there who are like, oh, end of the world, we're heading back to the global financial crisis, right? And then hindsight, of course, 2020 here. But, after this point, after you get past this point, you're probably thinking like, okay, a little bit of a bounce, and then we're going to keep on going down. And then boom, we didn't get any kind of topping until, don't get me wrong, volatility kind of got sucked out of the market after that, right? But you didn't get any topping until you had to go into summer of the next year. Then we had a big downturn in August. I remember this downturn. So here we are. There is no more data. Here we are. There's some similarities. Now we did get this giant rise into July, but then we got this pullback, right? Then we made new highs, but we didn't actually make lower lows. So this is actually slightly easier to trade because we didn't make lower lows. So if you're making new highs off of that, like back over here, for instance, like you come up and then, okay, here's our chance to make new lows, right? And you make new highs off of that, and you're thinking like, okay, line in the sand, It's like, this is now my line in the sand right around this area here, And so, and the market just keeps on going up. Now, the timing of this is, here's April. This is early April. Here's late April, right? So we bottomed out mid-April that last time in 2014, and then we melted up to about mid-September. Okay. So what do you think? To me, that's kind of melty, right? It melts up, right? Or drift up to about mid-September, which would be, this is early September. So, the timing is off by a couple weeks, but whatever. And then here we are, boom, down here. And I tell you, if by the end of October, or, however many trading days in a week or two, if we're all the way back up here at 75.20, 22.50, then there's very little doubt in my mind that we're going to print new highs this year and not next year, right? So, everyone likes to just say like everything's different, different market, right? And as much as I hate Jim Cramer, I don't really hate him, but as much as I disagree with him, there you go. As much as I disagree with him, he lifted a page from Tolstoy about the opening of Anna Karenina's novel, where it's like every happy family is the same, every unhappy family unhappy in its own unique way, right? So he applied it to markets, and it's true. No one says anything about a market going up unless they're talking about why it shouldn't be going up, right? So it's like all bullish markets are exactly the same, and then whenever markets are crashing, everyone's like, well, this time it's different because we have record this, or this time it's different because of Greece, because Greece is imploding and the whole world's going to fall apart. Or if you go back to the 80s, no one really talks about this, but I remember looking and reading, the Market Wizards book. And, back then it was nuclear holocaust. You're like, oh, well, the entire world's going to end, right? Or, so you get the same flavor, and I think back then there was a lot of currency manipulation I guess we have like China now, but it's just interesting to note that none of this stuff is like really, really new, right? None of it's really new. It's all happened before. There aren't any real, genuinely new stories, you know? It's like, well, why is the market going down this time? Because the world's going to end. It's always going to go down because the world's going to end, right? It's always going to go down because Europe is going to implode or Russia. Isn't that weird? Russia. If you go back to the 80s, it was like, well, you know, Russia's a huge problem. You come back to 2018 and people are saying Russia's a big problem, you know, and China. You know, throw them into the mix, right? So, you know, it's just some perspective, just something you should keep in mind that you know, we bounced off the 200-day. In truth, I mean, you should really just be going out there and just racking up some deals, buying in the money, you know, buying in the money options that expire in 2020 and just cash flowing them forever, right? Cash flowing them for an entire year, every single front week. You could literally get a completely free position in a lot of these growth names. You know, Microsoft is solid. I like Square, for instance. I like ATVI, Activision. Out of all the video game makers, I like Activision the most. You know, and that's, to me, I mean, people aren't even, they don't even realize what's going on with that, right? I mean, that's an entire genre where disposable income, you know, it used to be that video games were just for kids. And it's not, you know, this isn't, you know, like some speech about in defense of video games. It's not. This is a business speech. You know, in the 80s and 90s, video games were for teenagers. So, you know, whose income was that? That was your parents' income if you were a teenager, right? You know, so your parents are spending money on that. Now, your average video game player is in their 30s, 25 and 30s, right? I mean, they have jobs. They have disposable income. They're not asking mom and dad, like, hey, can you buy me a game? No, they're going out, like, they're going out each month. If they're a gamer, and they're going out each month, they're spending on it, right? They're spending like $100 a month, you know. So you have Netflix at $15 a month, and then you look at these games, and you know, people are spending on them. They're spending, and they're spending a lot more than what mom and dad had to spend back, you know, decades ago. So these are the new movie companies, you know, and they're fledgling. You know, they're not priced way ahead. You know, I don't even think they're close to being priced to where they're gonna be. You know, because as far as entertainment goes, entertainment's not linked really. I mean, you have discretionary spend, yeah, but entertainment itself as an industry, as long as you're ahead of the curve, I mean, that's where money is gonna flow to, right? It's just, and worldwide money as India comes online. You know, they're gonna get into more and more gaming. That's a what, I don't know how many people, over 1 billion people in India, right? That's a market, you know. So it's just something to keep in mind. This I'm not gonna get, you know, if I'm wrong and this thing just trends from here now, then I'm gonna be wrong. This is not just what I want to see in a trend day. In a trend day for me, the type of shape that I want to see, where's the zigzag tool? Here we go. Type of shape of the overall day for a trend day is basically going to shape out like a triangle, right? So you're going to have something like this. Right? Coming up. So I don't like this. This is more a shape because you put in so many things. You know, we have actually in terms of Elliott. I don't usually break out the Elliott, but we have 5 waves down and we have 5 waves up. We have 5 wave down. So we're getting these like clean 5 wave moves in both directions. I think that normally qualifies for it for a chop day, right? So it's been a long time since I broke out the chop the chop idea, but here I have a general idea about chop with expansion tools, and that's that if you get something like this to here, then you double it, you double that range, and that becomes your target, right? And so we hit that, we actually went through it. We come, usually there's something that happens on the way back down too, but nope, that didn't work out this time, right? Because this time, if that had worked out, then this was the failure swing here, and we only would have come down to like that area. So that's this idea is something I tested like last year, and it was really interesting on chop days. Typically got pretty good results off of it, but for now, yeah, this is yes, we're bullish. Maybe we get a move in the afternoon higher, but I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry to trade this. I think there will be better days ahead. So that's it. I'm going to call it a day. We are at 686 banked.